care deeply about our women veterans and that they have the services they need. So I want to just ask you, do you believe a veteran who lives in Texas who has been raped and becomes pregnant should be able to get abortion care at her local VA?
Senator, that is an issue that is very sensitive in this body. It is something that has been looked at. Here's what the law actually says, and the original law from 1992 says the VA does not do abortions. 2 years ago, that was a decision that was looked at and decided. I will tell you this, we will be looking at that issue when I get in there to confirm that the VA is actually following the law.
So do you plan to modify that law then?
I will repeat just what I just said. When we get in, we're going to look and make sure that the law is being followed from the 1992 law where it said they couldn't and the revision that just happened.
Okay, well, I want you to know that I'll be following this very closely. I want to make sure that women veterans get the health care they need.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
During your time in public life, you have been very outspoken against pregnant people's right to their own reproductive choices. In the role of secretary, you would be overseeing care for veterans and their loved ones across the entire ideological spectrum. Would you rescind the interim final rule enacted under the Biden administration that allows VA to provide abortion counseling and abortions in the case of rape, incest, or where the life or health of the veteran would be endangered?
Thank you, Senator. As we just discussed this just a moment ago, the VA Act in 1992 specifically forbid the VA from doing abortions.
Well, you do, excuse me. Let me just clarify something for you.
Senator, I'll be happy
to
answer your
question. You refer to a law that actually is being pretty much clarified by this interim final rule. And there is, as you know, debate regarding what the law allows. I believe the law allows this rule to be enacted. And my question to you is whether you would rescind this interim rule that would allow the providing of abortions
and Senators, I was
to veterans who, under circumstances of rape, incest, or where her life is endangered. Would you rescind the rule?
Senators, I was answering your question. We will look at this rule and see if it complies with the law. As you just said in your own answer, it is a debatable issue. We're going to look at it and make sure that the VA is following the law.
Well, of course, if you provide these kinds of services, you are providing all the veterans the full the full range of care for reproductive services as needed, regardless of your ideological position.
Senator, my ideological position is based in the law, and I will follow the law in this regard. And if your question is, I would have loved to have sat down and talked with you before this hearing, and we could have explained this because I believe the law is clear.
Asking you under oath, do you believe that world-class care, quoting you, includes a full range of reproductive services?
I believe that the range of care provided at the VA is following the law and the intent of this body as it is set forth in the law.
And if the way you interpret the law will disallow services to 2 million women veterans in the U.S., including 13,000 in Hawaii, you would do so. That's what you just testified.
As I have just testified, and looking at this, I will take a look at where the law stands. And as you also testified in your questioning, you said it has been a debatable topic that was just changed 2 years ago.
Well, I certainly hope that you would interpret there is a rule that actually interprets the law in a particular way, and you're saying that it all depends.
I understand the rule.
VS has and you're not responding to whether or not you will rescind that rule, which provides care for thousands of female veterans.
Thank you. Senator Kramer.
I'm just compelled to ask this question because Senator Hirono asked you if you would, I think the implication was, would you carry out an illegal order by the President of the United States, which there's no evidence he'd ever do and he's ever done, and it's so hypothetical to be silly. But I am compelled to ask, would you consider rescinding an illegal rule by the previous administration? Because it seems to me that an illegal rule, or at least one that's debatable, is worthy of significant legal consideration before you would do it just because you felt like doing it.
Senator Kramer, I appreciate the way that is worded because that is exactly the way I tried to word it to the senator. And that is if the law specifically stated that the VA was not to be doing abortions. There are other areas there that we look at. So we look at a situation that came up in 2022 in which they were told to look at a rule that would get around that. To me, it was time for us to take a look at that rule and make sure, just as in every other area of VA life, that we're actually doing what the law and the intent of this body is. That's not when you get into that, for me, this is going forward and looking at all the issues. If it was just a matter of, and I have great respect for this body that's served in this body.
Right.
And what we pass actually means something. And the minute it becomes something it doesn't mean something in the administration or outside is the minute the rule of law falls down. So for me, yes, I will be looking into this. Yes, I will be confirming that it comports with the law as it is.
You've been asked, and I think you've answered, and I don't want to repeat this issue, whether you will continue to abide by the VA rule concerning abortion, counseling, and care in cases of rape, incest, life, or health endangerment of a pregnant veteran. Will you commit that you will inform this committee if and when you begin reconsideration of the present rule?
I will keep this committee informed. The chairman and the ranking member will know any discussions and decisions as we get toward that decision.
As you begin consideration,
Yeah.
you'll let us know?
We'll get into that when we get in there. I'll keep the committee informed of things that we have going on. I have to get in there first, if confirmed by this committee, which I'd hope to earn votes for. We'll see what we got when we get there.
And that wraps up this portion of the Senate confirmation hearing. As we've seen, abortion access and reproductive health care was the only real sticking point from the 3-hour hearing, highlighting the sharp divide in policy and priorities between our leaders. Trust me, I understand the assignment. Since I compete standing up, I'm not allowed to have an opinion on the subject, so I'll keep my opinion to my family and my friends in life. There seems to be an old law that states the VA does not do abortions, but in 2022, an interim final rule was written that allowed it under specific circumstances. What does that mean? That means this will be a thing. I'm not a lawyer or some staffer in Washington, so I can't tell you what that interim slash final slash rule is legal or not, but they are going to run it through the ringer to find out. This will be debated, and no matter what happens, there will be unhappy veterans. If you found this breakdown helpful, give it a like, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe for more veteran updates. Gunny Beef out.